Hey everybody, Chef Lorious here. Today we're going to make a kitchen staple. We're making basic buttermilk biscuits. Now biscuits is something that can actually be intimidating even though it seems really easy, but I'm telling you there's an art to making biscuits. It's an art, not a science. So one thing you got to do with biscuits is be patient with yourself, because you can have great biscuits and then one day it just doesn't work out. So let's just hope that today's batch works out well, and I'm going to walk you through the basic steps of buttermilk biscuits. Alright, let's get started. First, let's look at our ingredients. I have here 2 cups of flour. We have some baking powder, some salt, some baking soda, and of course we've got our buttermilk. And over here, we've got a stick of ice cold butter. That's very important. This extra flour here is what we'll use to put on our pad here when we work our dough together. So what we're going to do is start by taking our basic flour here, and to this flour we're going to add a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon of salt. We're going to add the baking powder, and we're going to add the baking soda. Baking soda is good to work with the acidity that is in our buttermilk. We're going to stir that together, and then we're going to put in our ice cold butter. The key to biscuits is ice cold ingredients. You want your butter to be super duper cold, okay? So what I like to do, I don't like using a pastry cutter. I like using this shredder. I'm hoping you're seeing me shredding this in. And I get the butter, I put it in the freezer before I start on my biscuits for 30 minutes to an hour. That gets it ice cold. And even if you can't get it in the freezer, that's okay. Just put it in, just take it straight out of the refrigerator and use it. Now I'm going to tell you guys, I've had an accident or two with the shredder. So I'm being very careful today not to cut my hands. You're going to shred this all in there. Now if you don't have a grater or shredder, you can just cut the butter up in chunks, and you can use a pastry cutter to work the butter in, or you can use 2 forks. I've never used 2 forks before. Honestly, I've been a little scared of the 2 fork method. But this one, once I learned how to do it this way, it's been good. Now I'm going to start slowing down my grating here, because this is usually when I start to have the kitchen accidents, around this stage. Now that our butter is in here, has been grated in here, we're going to mix it in with our flour. Can you see inside my bowl here to see how this is? I'm mixing it up till it resembles coarse, like peas, like sand and peas. Some people put it into a food processor at this level and let that get it come together. That works as well. There's honestly no set rule. With biscuits, it's an art, not a science, and you got to figure out what works for you. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to start to add our buttermilk. The key to the buttermilk, again, like the butter, is you need it to be cold. You want it to be very, very cold. So this is about a cup of buttermilk. I'm going to start by adding, I think I've added about 3/4 of this cup. And I'm going to stir this in here. Biscuits do not have a lot of ingredients in them. It's really just flour, a leavener, some shortening or fat of some sort, and then a liquid, you know. And the leavener is what makes it rise, like the baking powder, or I use self-rising flour and I use baking powder because I like fluffy biscuits. See how this dough is coming together? This is the consistency you like it to be. And then I'm just adding the rest of my ice cold buttermilk to that. And the reason you want your ingredients to be so cold when you make your biscuits is that's what makes your biscuits rise and be fluffy, is when the ice cold butter hits that heat, it just goes shoo, and it rises, and that's a beautiful thing. Okay, you see how our dough looks here? This is how it should look. Now we're going to take this. I have here a baking mat. I like using these baking mats. I'm going to sprinkle some of my flour on the baking mat. Move this so you can see it. Spread it out. Now don't be afraid to be messy with this. I'm always telling you guys that messy is good, right? Well, today we're going to prove that theory out. We're going to take our dough here. Sorry, I'm covering the shot right now, guys. But there we go. Put it right like that. Now we're going to get some flour on our hands as well, and we're just going to start working this together. Now the key to this biscuit dough, though, you don't want to overwork it because you want them to be light and flaky. I knead mine about 4 to 6 times. Now you're thinking, really, Lori, 4 to 6 times? Yes, I told you biscuits are an art, not a science. but there's this one scientific piece I do 6 kneads, sort of. Okay, now my dough looks nice. See that? Now I'm gonna roll it out. Now I don't use a roller. I probably should, I know, but my family's from the South. Y'all know me in Calabama, so I don't use a roller. I use my hands, and I pat this stuff out like I want it. Just like that. There we go. Okay? And if by folding it the way I did, see how that is? What's gonna actually happen is these biscuits are gonna really rise up nicely. I like thick biscuits. Okay, now let's get something to cut these with and let's keep going. Now we're ready to start cutting our biscuits. I've gotten just a little measuring cup. You can use a cup from the kitchen, or I do actually have proper biscuit cutters, but I just want to be real with you guys, and we're just gonna cut these like this. Just like that, see that? Let's add a little poof of air, and then you lift them up, and I'm gonna put it right on my cookie sheet. Just like that. Biscuits are the best. Pat them as you go. And no, this is not gonna make every biscuit. The first time we're gonna have to turn this dough again. That's the other reason you don't wanna over knead it to begin with. Okay? I don't think you should get real fancy with what you cut your biscuits with personally. I think they're more authentic when you just get something in the kitchen and cut them. But disclaimer, I do have proper biscuit cutting tools, but today ain't the day, y'all. I just want some buttermilk biscuits. Now you see I've got those on there. I'm gonna turn this again. If you need a little more flour, that's fine. But you don't want too much because you don't want to dry them out, see? A little bit can stick. These baking sheets are the best. I love this brand. I would tell you a little bit more about it, but I'm not a paid endorser. But if you guys are watching, I would love to be. Take these. I'm just gonna put some of these on here. I could leave more space between them, but I like my biscuits to touch. I like all of my food to be friendly. Okay, we're gonna put these in the oven, bake them at 425 for about 10 to 12 minutes, and that will be all she wrote. And our biscuits are done. Look at these beautiful golden brown biscuits. I cannot wait to dig in. Now I like to put a little bit of butter on top of my biscuits when I take them out, you know, just for good keeping and good measure. Oh, they look delicious and the house smells absolutely wonderful. And here are our biscuits, delicious and golden brown. Let's try one. This is the best part. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to dig into this. See how these open up? Look at that. See the smoke rising? See how nice and light and fluffy they are? That's a result of having those ice cold ingredients in there. Okay, I'm gonna taste this quickly because I've got to keep cooking. Biscuits means breakfast. Got me? And I can't even get this right because I'm so excited. Reminds me of my grandma. She'd be so happy. Well guys, that's it for today. We've learned about how to make basic buttermilk biscuits. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. There's so much more on this channel for you to see and learn about cooking and all kinds of wonderful things. Have a wonderful day and happy cooking. And happy cooking.